Hello everyone. We got something pretty exciting going on now. Wanted to invite you back here to the main stage. Our next speaker is going to be talking about a very hot topic, and that is disruption. All the hottest companies, the ones making big bucks, have one thing in common, and that is disruption. If you want to learn what it is, do you need it? Should you be thinking about it? Come here and find out more about disruption. We have an amazing speaker coming up. He is my friend and somebody that will definitely make an impression. Please help me welcome Cranston.
Okay. Hey everybody, thanks for being out here and thanks again for having me here. So the power of disruption, it's a really powerful word to use because not every day you get to see this. But when it comes to disruption, probably the biggest influencers will probably be Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. So to introduce it, I'm going to do about two slides that has nothing to do with disruption. So if you can read that a little bit. So I'm sure some of you here can relate to that a lot. Right? Hopefully that doesn't happen to me growing up. Time will tell. And of course, a lot of you guys here can relate to this one as well.
Hey, I represent that.
Right on, man. But this is the serious stuff, so now we're going to go into the good stuff, all right? So with 2016, as we can all tell, it was a pretty hectic, awkward, but also one of the most interesting years in the world. A lot of good people died off, a lot of great people, Muhammad Ali, but also a lot of careers died off, being Mariah Carey, right, at the end of 2016. But she made a really good comeback, so I'm really proud of her for that. She really showed us that it's okay to fail and keep going. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is disrupting, is that, Steve Jobs, he failed so many times. J.K. Rowling failed so many times. My author and mentor, Jack Canfield, who did the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, 600 million copies sold, got rejected 144 times. And the people who actually ended up going with him were actually going bankrupt as well. So they figured they were going to both go bankrupt together and win it. So some factors about the disruption in this business industry is, I'm going to give you about 5 key points, and I'm going to go over the top trending niches right now that are really making an impact in the world when it comes to, especially 2017. Because right now we're in a very large digital age, and with knowledge, everybody wants a piece of that pie. And I believe everybody can get a piece of that pie, just depends on the right information and how bad they want it. So again, identifying the disruptions in 2017, how you can actually disrupt it, but at the same time, find the ones that are working and actually make something out of it. And of course, we all want that competitive edge to make sure that we're actually winning and being on top, and it's going to take some time, especially as startups. And of course, the niches to look for, because the smaller the niche, you're going to be richer, and it's been proven over and over. There's a reason why Apple, Microsoft focuses on software and not cars and everything else. And of course, the most important thing in any single business in the world is cash flow. Cash flow is king. Because how many of you here like money? Lots and lots of money, right? Legally or unlegally, all right? So let's look at the actual definition of disruption. So it's a noun, and I hope you can all read that. So when it comes to disruption, you're going to hear the word innovation a lot, and there's a reason why innovation plays a big part in disruption. And there's a great book by the author Cranston called The Innovator's Dilemma. I actually ended up giving it to a 16-year-old entrepreneur that got out of prison. So when he becomes a success story, I'm going to take half of his money, just to make sure he knows that. But what's funny is that Cranston actually talks about the innovator's dilemma is actually kind of outdated now. It's still good, a very, very good book to read. In fact, Steve Jobs said that if it wasn't for that book, he probably wouldn't be where he was at. And he recommends 2 books in the world, that one and a book on spiritualism about yogi and meditation. So how is this important to you guys, and why do you need to pay attention? Well, Christensen and a lot of the experts defined it where it came to really two options that we have in this world when it comes to the power of disruption in business. And there's really no right or wrong way, and it's really just a matter of what the market is and the trend and the strategies that you're using. So the first way is you can keep doing what you're doing, but improve upon it, right? So for instance, Apple and Microsoft, they're only going to keep working on computer softwares. I think Apple is actually going to go to car manufacture, but they're not going to make airplanes and refrigerators probably for a while. And so they know where their focus is, so they're going to focus on that. So that's one way to do it. Then another way is, which is actually a lot of people tend to be doing right now, is really focusing on new markets and capturing new leads and customers. Because if you look at and study it, millennials on the rise, and right now millennials are a very determining factor in our industry and business. So a lot of experts and people are holding a lot of millennial council meetings and making sure that, because right now I believe 54% of especially the entrepreneur population, millennials are the determining factors for that. And it's going to be Generation X and Z. I think Y and Z. Yeah, Y and Z. But at first it seems bad, but just like all things in life, you got to get used to it, and you got to keep doing it, and it becomes a habit. Because as humans, we're creatures of habit, which is a very good thing, but it's also a very bad thing. And you can make it a habit and keep doing the same thing over and over. That's going to get results. I remember Mark Zuckerberg. He was saying that one of his dreams was to get to 1 billion users for Facebook. But his workers and employees said, hey, we actually have something better that can make us more money. He said, no, we're going to stick to this because my ultimate vision is 1 billion people on Facebook, so screw off, right? Now, these three companies, they all have something in common. And what's funny about them is that none of them actually own anything. As you can tell right now, the most powerful industries in the world, you don't have to own anything. That's why the coaching industry, speaking industry right now, digital ebooks, courses, it's a $180 billion industry, and none of those people own anything physical at all. So as you can see, intellectual property is the most important thing you have. And you can sell that for so much. One of my mentors, he got paid $1 million to speak on stage for 90 minutes. And I was thinking, for 90 minutes, I would have done anything for $1 million. Right? So Airbnb, Alibaba, and Uber, and Facebook should have been up there, but Facebook is the #1 when it comes to content creation. So I believe the main reason for everything that we do, especially in business, really comes down to one word, and it's freedom. Because ultimately, everybody wants to be able to have that good life, retire, and eventually party and have fun forever. But at the same time, it's working up towards that freedom and making sure that you actually sacrifice some stuff along the way. So that's a picture of me in Lima, Peru, the second most popular city in South America right now. And what's so important about this picture is the fact that with Airbnb, it only cost me $10 a night, and I was on the 28th floor in the middle of the city. And as you can tell, a lot of entrepreneurs are actually moving overseas to like Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, because one, the internet over there is faster, there's more freedom. They're not congested over here in America. And everything else just so affordable. I believe the rent is like $300, $600 a month, including food and everything else compared to here. And being a startup, it takes about 3 to 5 years for you to actually start getting profits and revenue in return. And a lot of investors will definitely tell you that it takes that while. And one book I really want you guys to really look into is called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. It's really motivating, but don't get too hyped up in it, because it does take time to work 4 hours a week. And they actually found out that it actually takes the same amount of effort to make $1 million than it does to make pretty much $10. Now, let's get into discussing about the disruption in business. Now, here's a picture of a purple cow, and this too is actually based off of a book as well. But the thing that's so important about the purple cow is because it's different. Nobody sees a purple cow. Now, I don't know if this is actually real or not, but when the author said he saw it, so I'm just going to believe him. And it was Seth Godin. Seth Godin's probably the best marketer right now on the planet. So whatever he says, just listen to it. Whether he's on drugs or not, doesn't matter, because he makes a lot of money. all right? And we all know what the word anomaly really means, and that's what companies are really looking for, because human beings, we also like to be spontaneous, and we like change, but change that's going to be good. Now, the thing that they actually found out is that a lot of well-run businesses, especially that have been in the market for a while, actually don't do very well, especially with instances like Blockbuster, Sears. Did you actually know that Macy's was actually going out of business while they were putting on the Macy's Parade Thanksgiving? And they were, I think, closing about 300 stores. So as you can tell, a lot of the businesses right now are going more technology and internet-based. And then, of course, it's never about the product, ever. It's always about you, the person, and the business. And so they talk a lot about making sure you focus on the system model and automizing it, because Warren Buffett says that in order to truly be rich, you have to be making money while you're sleeping. And that's one thing that I believe everybody needs to strive for, because you're not going to make money working 9 to 5 unless somehow you're like the daughter of a very rich billionaire, which for most of us is not going to happen. And then education, of course, it's also, I believe, one of the most important aspects we have in the world, especially when it comes to business education. And believe it or not, the guy who actually co-founded Airbnb, he has the same mentor as mine, and we went through the same pretty much seminar in business school. And I know he's doing way, way better than me, but the fact that schools like these are appearing out in pretty much everywhere around the world, because people right now see that they're getting more results from different schools than MBAs at colleges. Plus it's more affordable, plus you actually have real entrepreneurs and people who actually went through the struggles, became homeless or whatnot, to actually teach them the actual business in life. So like Harvard and Stanford right now, and a lot of other places, you can get free classes, and that's what they're offering right now at the moment. Children like in Africa and other parts of third world country are actually getting higher scores than people in Harvard and Stanford. And they're probably not going to tell you that because it's a shock. And then of course, school is going very digital right now. You know, on the palm of your hands, you can learn pretty much any language you want. This kid that I know, he's 5 years old, he learns Italian, German, Spanish, just because of tablets. He didn't have to pay hundreds of dollars to learn it from people. So it just tells you that right now, a lot of information is free, but also be careful with that stuff too when it's free, because most people don't value anything for free. And Christian, the guy who wrote The Innovator's Dilemma, actually talks about that, because actually nothing in the world is free, because you have your time, your resources, and everything involved. But the free actually brings up a lot of negative connotations when it comes to the business world, because people see no value in that whatsoever. Then of course colleges, right? With the inflation and everything going up, colleges keeps going up 4% every year. The average worker only makes 2 to 4% more increase. Therefore, they're actually paying more for college every single year that it goes up. And most families can't afford that. Like I was one of the situations, I had to join the Marine Corps because we have 8 children in our family. As you can tell, about $100,000 for 8 children is almost $1 million. So that was like almost no option. The other option was being homeless, so I figured military would have been fine. And then going to these valuable brands, right? The thing is that Apple, I think, is always going to be number one, because they know exactly how to tailor to their market, and they pay attention so much. Apple actually spends $1 billion a year on their brands. But I want to know, who here actually prefers Microsoft over Apple? 2 people? Good, you guys are smart. All right, moving on. I'm just kidding. And other companies that are making a really big impact, that have been for a while, Facebook is actually the #1 growing industry right now. IBM, they're very well known, but they're actually the top loser. That was the award they got for 2016. And Toyota has a great, great story, because of the fact that they really reach out and market to the more of the middle class and the classes that don't have tons and tons of money. So that's why they can sell their products for so cheap, because they know they can mass produce it, and they can pretty much disrupt and take over any car industry that they want because of the brand name. And this was just some of the values when it came to the money. It's actually more. This was a stat from August 2016. I couldn't find a recent one, but this is the highest. Visa is not on there, but Visa is the first $1 trillion company, and they're predicting that Mark Zuckerberg is going to be the first trillionaire. So I don't know how that's going to happen, but that's going to be amazing. So let's go into the 10, I think there's about 10 industries right now that are trending for the business industry that are disrupting it. So there's about actually more than 10, but what I narrowed down, these are the top 10 right now that people are really doing. And as you can tell, the VR over there is actually really special. And the guy I was talking to, he had to deal with Sony. And Sony, it's very tough to be selected by Tony. And I was asking him questions, and he was telling me right now with VR, it's really about just pitching an idea and going after it over and over, because with the gaming industry, people are using VR for gaming. And as you can tell, it really populates towards the younger crowd, and people are using it to learn new experiences and have more fun. And plus, they're getting to exercise, and parents love it when actually kids exercise because it's better for them. So instead of pressing buttons all day and getting hand diseases and making your hands cripple, you can actually now walk around and interact with the world. And then of course, you can also do trainings as well, which is really fun. Like imagine like what we're doing right now, but you can be at your home eating popcorn and in your PJs or at the pool and really just watching what everybody else is doing. And then of course, this is a very controversial subject, but VR, they're definitely going to that route. Industries have been opening up and they're using it. So like places that are really big is a lot of the porn industry, believe it or not. In that if it has money, it has potential, people are going to go towards that. So the VR is going to use that and capture them, because when it comes down to it, you guys, if it works, right? And use it, and that's what VR companies are doing. So artificial intelligence and robots. This was actually a huge one for 2017. It's not really advancing too much right now because of the fact that it's very, very expensive, and to deal with this stuff takes a lot of money. So this is a quote by Elon Musk that says, with AI, we are summoning the demon, because he actually believes that for some reason, AIs are going to somehow take over and destroy the world. And one of the AIs here was actually saying she was going to destroy humans on NBC, I believe it was a year ago. But as you can tell, I think it's going to be a while. I think humans are going to destroy more humans than AI, so we won't need to worry about that too much. We already have to do a pretty good job with that. Again, companionship. Japan, parts of Europe, they're using AIs for more of the social aspect and companionship. So use your imagination for that one, pretty much. And then language learning new materials and having somebody to interact with again, because as you can tell, a lot of people are becoming more dependent on technology, and apparently they're going to make use of robots. And a lot of AIs right now are replacing the industry when it comes to technology, financial structures. So being an accountant or something in the money industry, you're probably going to want to step up your game a little bit and really see, okay, what jobs right now in the industry do they actually need human beings instead of robots? And when it comes down to it, even cooks, they're even replacing certain cooks with robots. That's pretty scary. And then of course, having AIs and robots, there comes to a point where you actually do save some money and resources and some time. When I was in Afghanistan, we used robots all the time for IEDs, and they cost about $80,000, but compared to a human life, I think $80,000 is worth it. So you got to really justify the factor of the cost into it as well. And then this was actually a really big one, the blockchains, and I'm actually really happy I invested in this. I gave one of my friends, who's an investor, $13,500, and 6 months later, I made back 10 grand, and he's doing what Benjamin Franklin did, was basically use half bit and keep investing. So every year, that's what it's going to be doing. And as you can tell, Bitcoin right now was at $1,100, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago, and that was insane. It's going back down again, but it's just a procedure. It's going to go back up again. And you can tell a lot of people are becoming millionaires with Blockcoin. And it's not just Bitcoin. There's also cryptocurrency as well. Like Ethereum. There's like 1,000 of them out there. I couldn't do all the research. There was no way with the time that I had. But a lot of reason why people are going with cryptocurrency, because of the benefits. People want to be able to have that money quickly and fast. And with PayPal, you have a limit. One of my friends got banned because he had a $50,000 transaction, and they were like, you have 6 months, we're going to keep it unless you get a dispute. But with this, you can transfer, I think, as many as it allows you, depending on your credit and everything. But people are easily making more money with this, and it's easier to actually handle it, and it's easier to actually make sure that PayPal isn't up on your pretty much junk all the time, because they're very bad with that. And then, of course, immediate settlement. One of the things I discussed is instant. People can get their money as fast as they want. They don't have to pay for lawyers, paperwork, and all of that stuff as well. And this one's actually something that a lot of the Generation Y is doing right now. And the thing about it is that you really don't even, all you really need is a website and something to sell. So Jack Ma, the inventor of Alibaba, he said the most important thing when it comes to online shopping and selling is trust. And I think it's actually for everything, business, relationship, life. But he uses that model in his business. There's a reason why he's the richest person in China, even though it took him 20 years, but it was worth it, right? The thing about e-commerce, it's a 24/7 process, meaning you can do it wherever you want. That's why people have that beach laptop lifestyle. It is real. There are 16-year-olds doing it. One of my friends, his mentors, I believe, is 19. He's about to make $2 million on Shopify, being 19, living in Thailand, sipping margaritas all day. And then, of course, you don't have to actually go to a physical store. These retailers shopping up at the malls and stores are paying $600 to $3,000 for rent. You could use that to hire and outsource people from the Philippines, Africa, America, Canada for $7 an hour or even less, depending on the country. And you can use all that to invest back in your company. And then, of course, you have an unlimited potential amount of people that you can reach. Remember, if you live like in Miami, you basically only have tourists and people who live in Miami. But if you're e-commerce, it just depends on who you want to reach out and who's willing to come out to you. And with Facebook ads and Facebook leads, right now, people are killing it with Shopify and Amazon and Alibaba. One of my friends, he has a program that I just bought. It's $300. And every time somebody clicks on your Facebook ad leads, you get their email, whether they want it or not. Now, I mean, some people think that's a term of integrity issue, but I believe that they can unsubscribe anytime they want. And if you talk to somebody, all you got to do is ask for their email. They're going to give it to you eventually. So with his system, it makes it so much easier and saves time. And then, as you can tell, right now with cable and TV, a lot of people don't want to have that hassle, especially being in college and traveling around the world right now. Everybody wants that laptop lifestyle. So there's a term called cable cutting, which is basically people streaming 24/7. And what's really cool is that technology such as Facebook, Periscope, and Snapchat, people are actually moving away even from Netflix and going towards that, because Facebook right now, they're trying to dominate the industry, and they're actually trying to kill off Google. I mean, not Google, YouTube. So those two companies are really competing with each other right now. And I have a feeling Facebook is actually going to take over, because it just relates so much to everybody. It's a mass target. And of course, $8 compared to $80 a month. Imagine what you can do with that money. Plus, you get more choices. There's no ads. People don't like to be sold to in commercials. It's just a bunch of junk anyways on TV about heartburns and pills and Viagra. People can get annoying all the time. And then, of course, about the social media. If you don't have Facebook or other social media, you have to, especially being this time of technology, because that's how people are getting to know each other. It's actually easier to have a cell phone in parts of third world country like Africa and Vietnam, which is a communist country, than it is to have food. So that's how fast the technology is growing right now, when you have more access to it than you do with food. And then, of course, I'm talking about mobile-friendly apps and iPhones, cell phones, everything of that. Apps are so much easier to make right now, especially the fact that you can cross-platform it. But that's with the Netflix, and there's other streams like Hulu as well, but more people are really focused on Netflix. And this was actually a chart that I took yesterday for their stocks. I unfortunately didn't get an opportunity to invest in it. I was actually going to, but I didn't know too much about it at that time. But as you can tell, it started out at $1.22, and now it's all the way up to $131. I think the guy said he made $400 million on Netflix in one day, by the way. All right, going back into the Internet of Things. So this was a quote by a very famous investor, Matthew, I forgot his last name. But he said the internet has always and will always be a magic box. Basically, what that means is that anything and everything is going to be connected to the internet, and that pretty soon you're not going to have that, pretty much that privacy to not have internet unless you move to, like, say, Thailand and want to live in the jungle, which actually a lot of entrepreneurs are doing because, to be quite honest, technology does get overwhelming, especially when the camera is up on your ass 24/7, right? So you got to be really careful. People want privacy, and that's the thing that I guess makes humans so special. But also at the same time, because I want to focus on a lot of the positive aspects of 2017 and trends that are going to be up here as well. But it's a lot more efficient. You know, moms and mothers and parents want to make sure that their kids are safe, that they can actually do what they want to do, but at the same time, they don't have to hire 25 babysitters and make sure all their credentials are right. They're not going to kill kids or whatnot. So it makes life a little bit more efficient, believe it or not. And of course, all things are going to be connected nowadays, so it's going to be impossible for you not to get consensus. If you actually download the Facebook app, Messenger, it actually says we have the right to go through all your personal belongings. And once you click on it and you say yes, it's fair game for Facebook. Why do you think it's free? It's not free. You're the product, by the way. So I'm too, so don't worry too much. And of course, customers. The best way right now to get customers is online. The knocking on doors and selling cigarette butts and candy, that doesn't work anymore, you guys. Most people aren't home these days. They're out and about networking or going to events or trying to grow their business and get investors, especially if you're in the entrepreneur world. And the best way to capture leads right now, email and Facebook. So that's why they're going to connect everything. And then of course, nothing would be here if it wasn't for Airbnb and Uber, right? That's Eminem, by the way, if you haven't noticed. I'm pretty sure you guys all know who Eminem is. But when it comes to, I guess this is called the hospitality industry, you're gonna realize, especially in Miami and Los Angeles, when you get an Uber driver, most of them are not from America. Most of them are from either South America, Europe, or Asia. And what's wonderful, if you talk to them, they actually love Uber and Lyft and Airbnb because they can rent out and make money while they're looking for a job. So it creates that safe space for a lot of people. As you can see, that's why Airbnb and Uber disrupted almost everything. The taxi industry in Los Angeles, they're shitting their pants right now because they have no idea what to do, and Uber's taken over. They're worth $66 billion right now. Airbnb is worth $30 billion right now, and that was last year's that I checked, because they don't have an updated version right now. So as you can tell, they're taking over everything. And actually China and Uber had a dispute. I believe it was a $400 million dispute, and they actually had to kick Uber out of China because China wants to do everything bootleg, third party, and have their own way, but that's their thing. And then of course, for the customers, you have so many choices when it comes to Airbnb and Uber or Lyft. You're not pretty much congested to one thing like a house, a real estate. You can have people come and you can have people leave, so it's up to you to have a little bit more freedom. And then of course, you being the driver or the host, you get the people that you want, so you can instantly say, no, I don't want you, or no, I do want you. So which is cool because now you have less restrictions. All right, space. Does anybody know what the acronym NASA stands for?
National Association of Aeronautics.
Nope. Never a straight answer. That's what NASA is very good at. They always hide stuff from you. Now, the last time I checked, they said NASA was valued at, each year they have a budget of 18 billion, but apparently it's actually 68 billion. So if you guys aren't into space, your tax money is going there, so have a little bit interest in space. Because whether aliens exist or not, your tax money is going to search for aliens, okay? Now this is Elon Musk. He's really, really, really big into space, and he wants to actually colonize Mars right now. We're a little bit, they actually were saying we're a little bit behind on space right now of where we want to be because it's just so expensive and people have more things to worry about besides space. They're worried about getting their kids to college, feeding themselves, and getting jobs. So space is way out of I think by 2025, I think space is probably going to get more serious. And Elon Musk said, I think by 2035 is actually when he'll start colonizing people into Mars. But it does create more opportunities when it comes to technology, because now people can find out what exactly to do on cutting costs, and they actually took a lot of billions of dollars and invested down to cutting it to millions of dollars. So we're saving a lot of money thanks to NASA. And then it also creates more jobs for people to go into NASA. And then, of course, every time the space shuttle goes into space, over $500 million is being invested into that. But it's for good reasons, too. And right now, only the very luxury and rich people have the pleasure to go into space. So Elon Musk and Richard Branson are actually trying to combat that right now by making it affordable. I believe it's they want to do it to around $200,000 per person. So even though it's still very, very expensive, from $20 million to $200,000, depending on the seat you get, I think that's very, very affordable. And I think space is one of the things that many people want to actually go and travel to in their lives, especially the fact that right now it's going to take a little bit more time. And so we're in the perfect opportunity to reach for this. And of course, everybody either has an iPhone, some kind of tablet, or something on them. And it's actually, in my opinion, it's actually a little bit scary, but it's also exciting at the same time, because with all this technology, you can reach out to way, way, way more people. And what's cool is that it's actually helping people get connected with each other. There's, I believe he was Hispanic. He actually fell in love with a girl that was French, and he created an earpiece. And now they can actually talk to each other in different languages. And now they're going to try to perfect that. But as you can tell, my mother speaks Vietnam, and I don't speak Vietnam. And having that kind of technology is absolutely valuable. I would probably pay hundreds of millions of dollars if I had that money for it. But as you can tell, it comes to really the value of it. And then, of course, believe it or not, a lot of this stuff is actually for your health. And people right now, especially entrepreneurs, they're working long hours, they're getting fatter, more stressed out. But with this, they can actually monitor their heart rate, their blood type, and see what type of styles that they need to improve. And instead of having to go to a doctor that basically doesn't really care much about you, you're actually going to be able to study and self-educate yourself and know what's actually wrong. There's he actually has a program called The Richest Kids. The Richest Kids, yeah. And by the time they're 19, they're entrepreneurs. They already have at least 5 employees. They're making millions of dollars. But the most important thing is that they're helping the world. And so, they created an app. Peter Diamandis, I believe he's creating a medical app to where people in Africa who have to travel hundreds of miles or thousands of miles just to go to the right doctor, but with a piece of app that costs $5 that tells them, hey, this water is contaminated and polluted, because a lot of the children in Africa are dying because of the water, and that's actually a very easy source to fix. And having a $5 piece of app that tells them, hey, this water is unsafe to drink, or hey, you have diarrhea, you need to eat this and this, or stop eating this and that, will save lots and lots of lives. And then, of course, when it comes down to money, you need customers. And having this, you instantly be able to have customers from all over the world. All right, probably everybody's favorite subject is marijuana, and I actually agree with it. So looking at this quote with marijuana, the thing about it is that it's so true, and that's all it really comes down to, because I believe that anything that the government touches, basically they corrupt and decay, and anything that Mother Nature produces enhances. Yeah, thank you. And so as you can tell, this is a statement made by Zach. I don't know if it's true or not. I think it's true, because he does smoke a lot of marijuana. He did it on live TV. But the reason why the marijuana industry right now in 2017 is going to really, really burst is because of the fact that a lot of people are going green. That's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs going vegan, doing yoga, because they see that it's a healthier lifestyle. And if you really think about it, health is always the most important thing in the world. Because if say you're 40 years old, but you look like you're 800, yeah, you're not going to enjoy yourself with all that money that you have. And one of my really good friends, he actually has a multi-millionaire. I believe he's 60, he's in a wheelchair, has no friends, his families hate him, but he has all the money in the world to do whatever he wants. But does he really? No, I don't think so. what's cool about marijuana is that all the benefits you're gonna get is 100% positive. There's nothing wrong with marijuana. And a lot of the people who actually go in the marijuana industry are actually, a lot of them are health experts. And as you can tell, health is broadening a lot more in today's world, especially when it comes to consulting, yoga, and industries like that. If you didn't know, Steve Jobs was really big into yoga and spiritualism. He only ate, I think, strawberries and grapes. That's probably why he died so early. But as you can tell, there's other important things to eat in life, just grapes and strawberries. And then, of course, everything when marijuana uses is for medical reasons and health reasons, and that it does for, going to war myself, PTSD, it affects a lot of people. And it's not just for war, too. But imagine having given it to soldiers and people who are on PTSD, instead of telling them that they're worthless and there's something wrong with them, give them a $5 piece of marijuana and they're good for life. It's amazing. And yeah, well, don't worry. Cancer, that's another thing. All these doctors are making tons of money off of cancer, but they don't tell you, here's marijuana, $12 for a gram. It's going to do so much more than you spending $12,000. But it's going to take some time, of course. And you go on YouTube and even more of the channels like MSBC and the other better channels are actually starting to reveal the positive effects of the marijuana industry. Because when it comes down to it, you guys, even if you don't agree with it, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing, it's about seeing if it actually works and makes the world a better place. And you gotta also look at it this way, it's Mother Nature, and Mother Nature always wins no matter what, right? Yeah, I don't want this to turn into a hippie class or anything like that, but I also want to be truthful and honest, because you're going to realize being lied to sucks. And people want to hear the truth nowadays, so I'll give you that as much as you want. And then this is actually the value that they found from the marijuana industry. As you can tell, it's pretty much by 2020, it's almost going to be doubling at what its rate right now. Colorado was very smart. In fact, people in Colorado who are making so much money from marijuana, you have to be paid in cash. So they're having like 10-foot lockers to put their money in. And I think that's a great problem to have, is to just have cash 24/7, right? Green all day. So that was the last slide when it came to the trending businesses in the industries that are actually disrupting or about to disrupt the 2017 market, if not already. And they're going to keep growing more and more. There were some other honorable mentions like 3D printing that a lot of people are using for soldiers and accidents. So instead of having to pay $12,000 out of pocket, because most medical expenses won't pay for that, 3D cast is only going to cost you a tenth of that price. Plus it's going to be more efficient, it's not going to wear. But then let's actually look at the meaning of the power of disruption in business. And I think a good example to really use is Steve Jobs, because the main thing about it is that you want to copy and follow pretty much almost the exact blueprint footstep of people who actually made it to the top. Even though he wouldn't be the best example when it comes to health and everything, but when it comes to work ethic and dreams, Steve Jobs is the #1. So he has this philosophy that he calls reality distortion. Pretty much what that means is that whatever he wanted, he got. And that's the mindset a lot of billionaires have. And I studied a lot of billionaires. One of my mentors, he's worth, I believe, $350 million. The reason why he's not a billionaire is because he doesn't care about money, to be honest. He wants to do other philanthropy jobs and missions, but he could have easily become a millionaire. But basically, reality distortion is when Steve Jobs wanted something, he knew he was going to get it. It was just a matter of when and how, and having the right resources. Because if you really look at it, Steve Jobs really didn't do anything. He didn't create anything. It was Steve Wozniak that was the powerhouse of it. He created all the apples and stuff. But Steve Jobs had the more important job. He was a manager. He was a leader. He was a visionary. And when it comes down to it, people want leaders and visionaries more than the actual product. That's why he made Apple the dominating industry, and it will keep going for a while. So there are actually about 3 questions you need to ask yourself that it comes down to when it comes to having the power of disruption in a business. So the first one is, so what can you do to make sure you are distributing your resources to both sustain and innovate in your business? The second one is thinking inside and outside the box. And then of course, how are you going to take it from a startup to a corporation, right? And I think the most important question in this one is probably, I'm going to have to say the second one, because when it comes down to it, it's about strategy, planning, innovation, and a lot of thinking. And apparently in school, they don't teach us how to think. They just teach us how to pass and get A's and B's, and that's about it. So when it comes to even thinking inside and outside the box, what if you can actually build a box? What if you can actually recycle the box, right? So it's thinking beyond the resources that you have and actually being resourceful. Because that's one of the things, is actually being resourceful, not just having the resources you have. Because they found out that a lot of companies have a lot of money, but they have no idea what they're doing. That's why companies like Kodiak died out. Sears is dying out. Blockbusters, I think, had 3 chances to buy out Netflix. They died out. So as you can tell, that's why a lot of the startups right now are starting to take over. Airbnb and Uber, they've only been around for about 3 or 4 years, but as you can tell, they're mopping the floor left and right. And then some final words that I have for you guys is the fact that I don't know what this means, Economist Intelligence Unit in RICO, I don't know what that means, but she basically said that businesses nowadays, you have to go the technology route, and if you don't, you're going to be falling behind, and that everybody's going to use it. You know, children as young as 3 or 2 years old have iPods and phones now, compared to when we were back then, when we had to be 16 and we had to share it with our sisters if we were lucky. And then when it comes to it, they found out that time is one of the biggest playing factors, patience. Because that's something that most people really don't use up, is patience. It's the fact that we're not taught to have patience. Everybody wants everything at 2 seconds within the arm span, which, you know, it could be possible. That's why Uber and Airbnb did their thing. But at the same time, they were solving some kind of problem and they were getting paid for it. So when it comes down to it, they said that patience and time is what's going to work. Yes, exactly. And one of my mentors was mentioning to me, experience is the best teacher in the world. And when it comes down to it, they said trial and error is what's going to really make or break a business. And a lot of us are afraid to really lose money and go through the tough situations. But as you can tell, that's how companies really make it. It took Apple 24 years, I believe, to crush Microsoft, even though Microsoft copied from Apple. But at the same time, it's not about being first. It's either being first or being better. And Microsoft was better at it. But work out the case, huh? Yeah. So now Apple was like, hell no, I'm taking over. That's exactly what they did. So if there's any questions or any concerns or any negative remarks, just let me know, all right? But other than that, you guys, that's going to be the gist of the power disruption in 2017. And I think it's a great time to be living right now, because technology and everything else is going to be booming. So don't miss it. You guys are in the right area. And other than that, have an amazing day and come back tomorrow, because there's going to be more amazing speakers. Cool? Yes.
Talk about it in his book.
Yeah.
Biology, technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in 2005. We're so in the future, most people don't even know it.
Yeah.
I mean, the sound of it, you know?
Technology improves every 9 to 18 months. My mentor says we have to run to actually literally just to keep still, because it's advancing so fast. Buying computer chips, right? The next thing you know, Apple's already creating something. That's why Apple is so successful. When you buy that iPhone 7, you're already behind. They already have an iPhone 9. They have futuristic cars and everything.
This technology was out when they supposedly landed on the moon was 69, but we're not just getting it.
Yeah. So you're going to notice there's already technology out in the world that hasn't been introduced yet.
It's scary, but it's fun. It's fun to be alive.
Well, yeah, that's where the testing and the trial and error comes out to play, because they want to mass market to a lot of people. There's a lot of companies that will not go into market for 2 to 3 to 5 years, but then when they do, they crush it, because they don't want all that distraction.
But you know what's funny though, is that all this, what we call privilege.
Yeah.
Privilege don't work. They really love you. You know what I mean?
I agree, yeah.
Limited means of communication, but we're so behind.
We are, yeah, right now. Yeah, these investors like flying cars and was it see-through cell phones? That was made like in 2000, early 2000s. It's just, you don't hear about it because they're not going to tell you about it. That's why you have to do your own research. And that's one of the things that they don't teach you is to do your own research.
How about the Japanese holographic phones? They're not even out here. Set the phone up.
Yeah, that's the thing about Japan is that Japan and China likes to copy a lot, but you're going to realize that their masters are copying and perfecting. That's why they do so well, because they let everybody else do it. Walgreens has the same philosophy and Burger King. For every McDonald's and Walmart that is in your area, yeah, they put themselves there. So they save millions of dollars on research, customer acquisition, all of that, just because Walmart placed themselves here. And even Walmart right now is scared because Amazon is taking over.
Oh, yeah, they're doing good.
Yeah, Amazon, I think Amazon was actually the industry that Sam Walton was talking about, because in his book, Sam Walton, Made in America, he talks about how he created Walmart, but the thing was that people thought Walmart was actually going to dominate forever and ever, but he's like, no, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to take over, just like I did with Sears. And Jeff Bezos, what's funny enough is the only book read, I believe he said for 2 years straight, over and over, was Made in America, and he copied and implemented everything that Sam Walton did. That's where he got to today. And right now, Amazon, the average Amazon seller makes $50,000. The average eBay seller makes $625. So as you can tell, the playing field has tremendously lifted. And Amazon is the way everybody's going right now. And Shopify, the other e-commerce.